gets it, and he got banned.
We're live.
Who got
Good
his dad?
evening.
We are live. He had to get this in right. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just in the middle of a restaurant drinking wine, so I'll leave you guys to it. And shout out to everyone who's listening tonight.
So your dad got banned for sending an edit?
He did get banned for sending.
It was a board game, a WWE board game, WrestleMania. I was replying to something to say, "Is this game any good?" And then the next thing, I was banned for 12 hours. And I thought, you would send me a strike or something. So.
Oh, we love to see it.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. That has made my day.
Guys, we're live, by the way.
We are.
Out there.
Julio, mate, I can't believe you pressed the live button on that. That is
he didn't find the intro as well. What a sly bastard.
I did warn you.
Oh, that's incredible.
For everyone watching, good evening. Nathan decided to surprise us because he wasn't meant to be on, so I thought I'd...
Yeah, I'm not even in the country, so I'm just here drinking at the moment, but I'll leave you guys to it anyway.
We are going straight to the intro after Nathan leaves, but we will be bringing night drives, so stay tuned for a fun show when Nathan drinks.
Bluebirds. Anyway, enjoy it, guys.
Live on YouTube. And listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday night. You know what time it is for. I do apologize, we're a little bit late, but we're here now. So let's just, without further ado, let's just get on with the show. Let's jingle these bells and any other Christmas idioms, etc. Nathan's not around, unfortunately, this evening, but he did sneak on. So if you missed that before the intro, rewind and just watch that. But tonight, I'm joined with just Mr. Weekly Steel Chair himself, the big cheese of the channel. Reece, how you doing, my friend?
Masterpiece behind me. This is mine before anyone tries to fucking claim it. Like, that is mine, and there's my watermark to prove it. I'm good, thanks. Nice little show to come. We are missing something besides Nathan. We are missing something very important, the new member of the family, better known as Night Driving. We will be giving you your music, but we have a lot to get through. And there it is. Let's go.
Music's here. Yeah, really good to have somebody else on. So it's just us for tonight, so let's... Why don't we start with United at the weekend? Firstly, talk to me about that goal, and then secondly, just talk to me about the game, Reece.
I think overall, when you're judging that performance, the first half, I don't think we technically deserved anything. Apart from the goal, which was fantastic. It's probably one of the best goals I've ever seen. But in terms of the actual performance, I think the first half we really were on eggshells for most of the time. The amount of chances that we were given, Everton was ridiculously bad. That's a recurring theme. Second half though was a whole lot better. Second half, we really grew into it, like in terms of control. We really needed that second goal because our goal looked like it was coming for Everton. I don't think we necessarily deserved the win from the first half alone. Second half, far better. The Onana save as well from, I think it was McNeil or Harrison, like from the edge of the box. I thought that was a fantastic save. That gave that confidence to Onana. That really will help us going forward, the significance behind it, especially. First half alone, we definitely didn't deserve anything. Second half, oh yes we did.
No, that's fair enough. I would I'd have to agree with you on that one. I think it got to a point at the beginning of the second half where, if you remember, it was obviously Everton away in late 2016, you know, when Zlatan scored that goal for lobbing the keeper, and then Everton grew into the game, and then, you know, we saw Fellaini give away a penalty after coming on, and it just felt like it was going to, if we didn't get that second goal, it would be like that, whether it was McTominay or Maguire or someone that everyone would probably love to criticize. Anyone who could easily be scapegoated, it could have been that kind of situation. But, you know, thankfully, obviously, we got the second goal. Talk to me about Mainu, though. What did you think of Mainu?
I thought he was all right. I think the one thing though that really doesn't help him, and I say this is an honest comment. This is not a dig at him. This is an honest comment. He's now expected at such a young age. He's now expected to consistently deliver that type of performance, and I don't think he needs to yet. But I think the fact he was so calm and composed, he worked hard, he showed himself for the ball, he showed himself when he didn't have the ball, passing wise, getting stuck in. I was impressed, and I need to see more of that, more performances in the right way, and we just see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one problem with our fan base is they start either overhyping him, or the expectation just go through the roof. It was very good what he did. He looked very calm on the ball. It seems like there were points where he looked almost like the most experienced player on the pitch. You know, and I just think that it was really good to see that. You know, we all saw what he was doing in pre-season. We thought, okay, can he carry this on? Then obviously he got the injury. I think now it's going to be a battle where if he because we've seen players come through, like Twanzebe will come in, have a good game, and then we won't see him because of injury, or in other instances it's a mental issue. So the key for Mainu now is, I think, to maintain that and have some stability. I don't want it, because one problem we've had with youngsters the last 10 years, when we need something and they do it, we throw them in and keep them there. And in some cases, obviously that's good, but I think a lot of times it's not good, and I think that we should carefully feed him into this. You know, we can't have throw him in and put all our hopes on him. So whilst it was a very good performance from him, you know, arguably a big ask, Everton away, put in that midfield and go, right, you go do your thing. It was impressive. So hopefully he can carry that on as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah. It was a good start though, wasn't it? With the overhead kick.
Oh, that overhead kick was fantastic. Great cross as well by Dallo as well. He's finally delivered a good cross.
Yeah, it seemed like it was all he could do, and then he seemed to forget it, and then now we've finally seen it again. But it was... Is it the best you've ever seen? You know, people comparing to Ronaldo's, to Rooney's.
It's better than Rooney's. Flat out. I'm not gonna mince words. That overhead kick was better than Wayne Rooney's against Man City. That overhead kick was fantastic, and all by a shin. But Garnacho's was better. That was Ronaldo versus Juve vibes.
Yeah. There are people saying that Bale was better as well.
Bale's against Liverpool was outstanding. That was outstanding. I think sort of similar is, I think the one he really wanted was the Ronaldo similarity, but he does step off a little bit like Gareth Bale did. I think it's got a combination of two, but it doesn't really matter. It's better than Wayne Rooney's.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that. What did you make of Everton, though?
I thought Everton actually played really well. Like
Yeah.
I think the first half and all that, they had some good chances. They were dictating the play after we scored. We let them have the ball a bit too much. I think that really got nervy, especially for the defence. They looked a little bit out of place. I think one other standpoint being that players weren't really shown enough confidence, especially when we were 1-0 up. They were just allowing Everton to hit shot after shot after shot, assuming Onana was going to save everything, or the ball was just going to keep going wide, and that's a very dangerous game to play. That's the type of play if you're a Man City or if you're a Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, where you're that good that you can allow your opposition to do that, where you can allow them to take the piss, because you know end of the day you're going to go and spark any team that's in front of you, because you've got sheer quality as well, and you play more convincing football. For us, it's totally different. It's totally different.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There were points where, I think Calvert-Lewin had about 2 or 3 chances, and it was getting to a point where, maybe another chance he might have, put it away. So I think that in the end, it was a good win to have.
Yeah, it was, and that's all that matters.
Regarding the performance, though, in general, were there more positive signs for you?
A few.
Obviously, it's a low bar in comparison to the last couple of months, obviously, but
there's a few. There's not a lot. I haven't watched any football review on the game, so I don't know what anyone else has said. So everything I'm coming in is my own point of view, and that's how it always is. But circumstance being one, it's another win, which maintains consistency of actually trying to push forward and try and show elements of competing, even though we don't deserve to compete with anyone, in my opinion. Additionally, the fact that we've now eradicated, for now anyway, the negative goal difference is a positive as well. That's 500th clean sheet for the club in the Premier League era, which is great. The positives as well is also that not only did we win, but we won by being clinical. For a change, we were very clinical. It's about, can we maintain that instead of just settling for second best? And yeah, that's another positive as well, is it was the forwards that scored.
The worrying thing is, obviously, it's November.
It took them nearly 4 months. It took them 13 games to do it, which is really not good enough. There's a few negatives, of course. One, conceding too many chances. 2, our shape goes very quickly. Even if we're a 1-0 up, our shape goes out the door, which means we're definitely not organised again. That's still a worry for me. And lastly, is it took this long for our attackers to finally score some goals. I mean, that was Martial and Garnacho's first goals of the season. I mean, Martial, you can sort of excuse, because Martial's actually been injured. Garnacho's played near enough every single game since the season started, and I know he's not expected to be our main goal scorer. I'm not going to say that, but even by now, he should have had maybe 3 or 4 Premier League goals by now, even 5. Rashford, after the season he had last year, he should be on 7 or 8 by now, respectfully. Højlund should be on 5 or 6 Premier League goals, even though he's injured. He should be on 5 or 6. He hasn't scored a single league goal. He's only scoring in Europe. Antony hasn't scored a single goal. Pellistri hasn't scored a single goal. It really is a back wall of our attackers when they don't score, and we have to rely on midfield and defence to score goals and also keep solid defensive performances to shut them out. That has got to change. That has to change. We need attackers to do their job, and I'm hoping the game against Everton is the time where things change and the tides turn.
Well, the thing is, we've said before on the show, for teams lower down the league, that getting 5 goals a season from all your different forwards is not going to be enough, maybe even to stay up. And obviously, we're
They
United.
need at least
And
10. They need 10.
we're having this kind of conversation. It's quite a worry. I think Martial, now our record goal scorer against Everton with 9 goals,
Which is funny.
is great. It's great because it means that whenever he plays Everton, he scores. But, you know, it's not like we can sit here and say we're going to get that every game, are we? We're not.
Yeah.
Well, we know Martial could get injured this week and we're not going to see him for a couple of weeks or whatever. And then for all we know, the next time he scores a goal is when Everton come to Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So
It was significant. The likes of the Rashford also scored, but he also needs to maintain consistency. Although, what the fuck has he done with his hair? I mean, for a moment, I was like, has this man taken a can of Iron Brew and just dumped over his hair and it's just stuck? Because it looked like Iron Brew hair. I was like, what the fuck? But performance-wise, I'm hoping that we see a build in consistency from our attackers, and our midfielders can still continuously supply them because we have to. We have to get something out of it because there's no excuses. I was being generous, but that's another one. There's no. If they were playing for a Bayern or a Real Madrid or a Juventus or Barcelona and they weren't doing these numbers, they would all be gone. There's whether you want to admit it or not, whether you have favourites or not, if these players were playing for those big clubs as well and they weren't willing to, they weren't consistent enough delivering numbers, they would be gone. They would immediately be like, alright, you're on the transfer window, we'll go and get someone else. Just seen there as well, according to Politico, that Antonio Silva is our top target for 2024 for centre backs. I'm alright with that, actually, funnily enough.
But don't we get this every year? This time of year, we always get a rumour that this guy's the top target.
We do go for him though. I do hope we get him though, because
I think he's a brilliant defender.
We need more than one centre back though. We need at least 2 or 3. Personally, I think
we need 2 or 3 in every position still. It's crazy how this is a rebuild job and we still need more players.
I think next year we have to prioritise for once we have to prioritise a full rebuild of an area and just do it like what Man City did. We focus on one area and we work forward. So me next year, it's not going to happen, but I would
focus at the back.
Yeah, I would literally sign 3 centre backs, sell a few of them, and I would work on the fullbacks. I would go all out next year on defence, and I'd be like, right, here we go. We're just going to work our way from back to front. You build from the back. If you want to win trophies and titles, you build from the back. So I would go all in, right. Our midfield has got numbers there. We can add to that if necessary. Our attackers, hopefully they get better, and numbers-wise they pull up. But defensive-wise, we're really weak. We aren't particularly great at the back. Our defenders are very often injured. Most of our injuries come from defence. So I would rather, next year, we go all out and just make a defensive summer window. We just go, right, no attackers, unless something special comes up that we can add in that will make us even better. We're just going to go, right, let's focus on this defence once and for all. Let's build that defence that's going to take us onwards, and let's do it. Because I think we have the goalkeeper, even though he's at times inconsistent. I think we do need the centre-back partnerships, and we definitely need the better full-backs if we are going to play from the back. Full-backs that are actually capable of carrying the ball properly, are consistent at creating chances, and for one, do work tracking upfield, and they're not going to rely on a partnership. They can form multiple partnerships. Because you look at our defence and it's partnership with a winger in front of them. It should be, regardless of plays in front of you, you should be able to link up with them.
Yeah, there needs to be an element of compatibility. I mean, I think the reason why we're not seeing Rafa Varane play as much is probably because I think he's prioritising Maguire, and he's going, I can't play those two together because they're both, for me, right-sided centre-backs.
Yep, exactly.
So there needs to be an element of compatibility. The issue we've got, obviously, is every summer now we're in a sell to buy phase, and apart from Louis' second season and Ollie's first summer, we're not very good at offloading players, and on those two occasions we just got rid of as many players as possible, like go.
If we're able to get, if we get this sporting structure in and one of them includes Michael Edwards, we're making sales for players next year.
For me, it has to be more than one appointment. As a sporting director level, there has to be more than one. It can't be just Paul Mitchell. It has to be a range of people.
The perfect summer for us is Blanc, Edwards, Mitchell. Like, that's our perfect summer. Blanc is CEO, Paul Mitchell head of recruitment, and Michael Edwards is sporting director. That's our perfect summer. That
matches to the credentials they bring to the table as well. Because one thing you can always say about Paul Mitchell is recruitment. So if you get people in, play to their strengths almost. I know this is a very easy thing to say, but it's so simple that it's actually the truth.
Yeah.
And ideally, that's the structure we need. Whether we'll get it remains to be seen. I wouldn't rule out a second appointment right now, but that's just from murmurs we're seeing.
I think. Excuse me. I'm going to end up switching to the monitor in a minute because I hate when the laptop flashes. But I think when we're in that circumstance where we can actually bring in a sporting structure, I think it will be once the investment is cleared. My only concern though is how much pull we're going to get. I'm hoping that we do see the full sporting structure and they have control and we get on with it, because next year certain players have to be told, that's it, you're done. Like, they've got to be told, that's it. Because I've got no sympathy for several of these players because they just don't give a shit. It's time.
Yeah, it's true. The problem is, it seems that we've got a load of freeloaders right now. We just can't seem to get rid of them. I did want to ask you, because we're seeing a lot of links to Timo Werner for January. It's almost like it's an annual thing now where we get linked to a loan striker, a loan signing in January. You know, you're probably the best equipped to discuss Timo Werner, at least out of us two, let alone everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Tell me the thought process possibly behind this, what he could offer, why he could be good, but then why could it be the wrong thing to do?
All right. So let's look at the let's look at the positives first before we even discuss the evident negatives. All right. So let's look at the positives. Positives are experience under his belt in Europe. European proven, internationally proven. He has scored, like, whether people want to admit it or not, Werner does score goals. And he also is a creative attacker as well. He does get assists as well. He does get double digits every season for assists, and he does get double digits for goals. The only time he didn't get double digits was Chelsea. Still prolific. He's still pacey. He's still aggressive with the press. And his hold-up play is also very important, especially if you're playing with two strikers or just one. So the negatives, obviously, are it didn't work initially from in the Premier League. But I also say, and I still stand by it, the way he was used under Lampard did not help him. He kept having his position changed. There was no consistency for him as well. It wasn't set to his style of play. I said that numerous times. The way he was asked to play, never going to help. He did, but I think we know why he made it. Because he's coming in a different league where the defences are slightly more narrow to him. He's not used to playing against those narrow, compact defences. And when you're set up for a system that isn't going to get the best out of you, where you can play the ball in behind for his pace to exploit, what are you going to do? Reasonably, what are you going to do? You're hampered. So this time around, where we generally do rely on getting in behind a lot, that does benefit him. But do I see Timo Werner coming to Man United, even though I personally would sign him? No, I don't. I think it's just another player talk, personally. I think that's just one for the papers. I think Timo Werner might leave Germany again, because he is out of favour again under Marco Rose. I think that's a big mistake. I think they should be using Timo Werner, especially with the options they got. They've still got some good attacking options, but Timo Werner's still good for Leipzig. I think it's a mistake to let him go. He's the club record goal scorer for a reason. I think he still ends up in Spain, because I know Real Madrid want him. But it's funny that Man United fans are saying no to Timo Werner, but yet Real Madrid are saying yeah. You know what I mean? It's quite funny.
It's quite interesting, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I think people will just easily go straight to those missed compilations that he was on during his time at Chelsea. And I think you're right in terms of obviously the way it's set up. You know, with the way he plays depends on how a team is set up. We saw him go from a 2-striker system at Leipzig, come to Chelsea, play in a 1-striker system for the majority, and he would either play as a lone guy or play on the wing, or just kept changing position, couldn't adapt. And then Tuchel came in, did try him in a 2 partnership with Lukaku,
and that was the wrong partnership.
Yeah,
because Lukaku doesn't benefit Werner. When Werner's playing off the wide left and he's coming in, Lukaku holding the ball is like asking a donkey to race a horse, or it's like asking Darth Vader to be nice. It's not going to happen. So in circumstance like Werner, funnily enough, would have worked if Chelsea had a better hold-up play striker, in the sense in that Tuchel system. If they had a striker that can just be that centre-forward presence that can actually work the ball around them. They went for too big a striker.
Are we talking more of a Dzeko, for instance? Because Lukaku's a more box in the box, isn't he?
Yeah, but his work for example, beside Oliver Burke at Leipzig, or playing alongside Christian Poulsen, is another example of where it works. Where they're in the middle, still pressing heavy. He is slightly off, still playing as a striker, but he's playing just off them in a wide position, still pressing hard, and he's got the license to come in because they're dragging out. Lukaku doesn't drag them at all. Lukaku doesn't drag any defender. Let's be real. Benefit Chelsea with Morata and Timo Werner would have worked, ironically. It doesn't work with Lukaku. They were doomed for the beginning.
Yeah, 100% would agree. I mean, who would United go for then? If you're gonna, I mean, obviously, I know that obviously you'd want a permanent striker, but if a loan is on the cards,
then we don't do it.
You don't do it.
Back out. We do not.
Is there
go for
a
loan.
permanent transfer you'd make? Bear in mind, obviously, there's not a lot of money to spend.
Mehdi Taremi from Porto or Nikola Füllkrug from Dortmund.
What would Taremi
Taremi
offer?
Same as Füllkrug. Fox, he's a classic number 9. Classic Fox in the box number 9, but he's mobile. So they definitely get around it. He's got pedigree for Porto. He's got pedigree in Europe for scoring goals, and that's what we need. Like, he's that ready-made option. Same with Füllkrug. I mean, obviously Füllkrug had a bad injury as well recently, but he still scores goals. And even at 29 years old, he's now delivering for the bigger sides in Germany, which took him a long time to get there. It says a lot.
As you said, he is that guy. On many occasions, you said he is that guy.
He's a German equivalent of Jamie Vardy. Except he hasn't won a Bundesliga title, but he still delivers. So he's came up and done that. So I would take Füllkrug. I would take Füllkrug. Numbers wise, it certainly helps. At 29 years old as well, he's Germany's number 9. I mean, he's got 6 goals in 7 appearances for Germany. I mean, I'm sorry, but why would you turn that down? That's a goal. Like, that's pretty much a goal a game. That's like when you, ironically, if this had been 2006, that's Peter Crouch level, because he had that perfect 50-50 accuracy. He scored half the amount of goals he played in the games he played. He scored a goal every 2 games. Füllkrug is doing that pretty much for Germany. In a very honest, a poor German team where the players and the quality are very good, but the team isn't playing well, which is ironic. But he can do that for Dortmund as well. He's given Dortmund the chance after the 2 seasons he's done at Wolfsburg. That's key. That's what you want. That's what you want to see. He is what we've lacked for so long. A big number 9. I would take him now. I would. We could have got him for 15 million, by the way. Says a lot. 15, 20 million, we could have had Nicola Füllkrug. 60 million less than what we spent on Højlund. Not taking that away for Højlund, but I know what I would have spent on.
Yeah, this club seems to not know what fiscal responsibility is, if I'm being honest, in terms of
Absolutely.
who's available, what should they do, what should they prioritize. If we're going to talk about fiscal responsibility or lack of, we can't not talk about City. Or, well, alleged fiscal irresponsibility or whatever. Obviously, big game at the weekend. 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts, not just on the game, but where, because it looks like City are ahead of the rest and the others who can compete aren't at that level. So give me your thoughts on how big of a result it could be for Liverpool if they want to compete.
Well, I mean, it did highlight one thing that I've said for quite some time, even though I can't stand the bloke. Trent Alexander-Arnold belongs in midfield. I've said it, 3 years, I think. I've said Trent Alexander-Arnold should be in a midfield position. He certainly suited it to a degree. I can't stand both clubs. Never will. I think it's not that Liverpool deserved a draw, but City were just generally so poor. City didn't know how to kill the game. They didn't know how to kill Liverpool off. Liverpool were just lucky that City didn't know what they were doing. That's the main telling point. Liverpool didn't do anything apart from a lucky goal from a free kick that ironically is going to get Trent Alexander-Arnold fined. Like, that celebration apparently is getting fined for, which I'm like, okay. It's not going anywhere. I don't like Liverpool. Yeah, they got a point. Okay, cool, you got a point, but you're not good. Like, you're not good at all. They were lucky. Arsenal are still ahead of them.
Yeah, I think the problem is that I've said before on the show that Liverpool don't have enough for me to compete. Their midfield still doesn't convince me, even though they've had a lot done to it. That midfield base where Fabinho used to be, I think still needs improvement. I think if you're going to put Trent in midfield, great. But I think you need someone like a Fabinho, whether it be to cover him as at the right back spot or even as the holding midfielder. Because for me, I don't think Trent has, I know it can come with coaching, but I don't think he has the positional discipline to play in the midfield on the defensive side of it.
I put him in a diamond. I think you can get around it with a diamond. I don't think their 4-3-3 works fully, even though they've played fairly well position-wise. I think they don't need fullbacks anymore. They don't realistically need fullbacks anymore. I would go a 3-4-3, but I would play as a diamond midfield. It gives them the box control. And I put Trent Alexander-Arnold as one of the wider midfielders. And then whoever else they've got, put him on the left-hand side. They've got a holding midfielder. They've also got Szoboszlai playing a natural 10 position as well. Like, they've got that, and then they can still play their front three of Núñez, Salah, Diaz, or whoever they play. but it allows them to give cover on the centre backs because their centre backs are poor when it comes to injuries. I think it's something worth looking at for them. Is like maybe they have to change up just a little bit. I think they've got the numbers to do it. I think that Japanese one, I can't remember his name.
Ender.
Japanese, yeah, the boy they signed for Germany. They could put him in a holding role. Szoboszlai at the front of the midfield in the 10 role. McAllister or Gravenberch in one side, and then potentially Trent Alexander-Arnold in the other one. And you've got the creative midfielder in Trent, thereabouts, or Gravenberch, depending on how you mix it up. And then you've got the box-to-box of McAllister. Endo in the defensive midfield role. And you've got Szoboszlai feeding the front three. And then when they come back, if you want to, you can then put Andy Robertson back in and you can go back to a back four if you want to. But I think for them, I think a diamond system with a back three actually gives them more control. Because that's what they're doing nowadays. They're looking to just control games. I think it might be sufficient. But again, I want to see more issues for Liverpool. I don't want to see them fixed.
Yeah, that's a fair comment to make. I think that, I think with Liverpool, I think it was a common theme over the summer where they were saying we need a left-sided centre-back because the problem they've got is Van Dijk is good. Maybe he's not as good as he was a couple of years ago, but
yeah,
the problem is his partner. Joe Gomez, Konate, they're not fit enough all the time. They seem to always be getting injured.
And they're shit.
Okay, fair enough. We could say that. John Matip is getting on a bit. He may leave at the end of the season.
He's finished.
They are in dire need of upgrades.
They're all injury prone. They're all injury prone as well. If you look at it, all of Liverpool's main centre backs are injury prone. Like, we're bad. They're levels of bad. Fantastic, but genuinely, when you look at injuries wise, horrific for their injuries. It's no wonder City play a back three as well. City can play a back three or a back four because they know their players aren't as injury prone as much, but they can change their system so easily from a defensive side, and they're just as effective. I think it's going to be soon where all the main teams in the Premier League play a back three. The only ones that might not are Man United and Tottenham. I think they're the only ones that might stick to a back four. I think at some point you'll see Arsenal go to a back three. You'll see Liverpool go to a back three. You'll see Chelsea. I think you will see that. I think we might not, but
we might in terms of shape, like in play, in possession.
I also think our main shape could potentially be a back three. I think it could be, depending on if injuries keep mounting. Eventually we'll have to just to protect our defence. And it wouldn't surprise me. But we could theoretically succeed with a back three.
Yeah, that's true. The barcode merchants, as you like to call them.
Oh, because they are. They scanned Chelsea quite a lot. They scanned Chelsea at the weekend. Was
that Newcastle were that good, or was it Chelsea were bad, or was it a mix?
I think it's a mix. I think it was a mix for sure. I think when you look at it in general, I think Newcastle had moments, but also Chelsea. I don't know even I don't have a fucking clue what they were doing. I think that's where you have to look at it from a fair sense. Is I don't think they knew what they were doing. The people are saying that Man United, if they come against a hard opponent, they're going to get spanked. Well, people were giving Chelsea a lot of props early, saying, "Oh, look at that! Chelsea have beaten Tottenham and all that." And I thought they played well against Tottenham, but I was like, "Well, that's one game. We have to see what happens next. It's the next game that matters." They've now done this, where they had a fairly great game against City, an amazing draw, but then they go and do this against Newcastle. So I'm like, what are you trying to prove? I think they are that team that are one step forward, two steps back, more than what people have said about United. I think Chelsea are that team.
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, Newcastle got 2 goals in the space of a minute, and suddenly it was 3-1, and then Chelsea going down to 10 men obviously didn't help at all. So, do you worry for Chelsea right now?
No. I
You know,
don't,
that 4-4 win, that 4-4 win against City was really good, granted, but
I don't particularly care. I'm not worried. I hope they keep going further. But from an honest perspective, I think you have to ask, what are these players doing? Because that was our level of switch off. Like, in terms of like scoring a goal and then switching off, it was really, really bad.
yeah, 100%. The other end of the table,
Yes.
what do you think about? I mean, Bournemouth won. Iraola starting to cook now, almost like we said it was going to happen from the very beginning.
Of course we did. I'm always right.
Funny that. But, I mean, we already said that Everton played quite well yesterday, and I think that obviously the gutting thing for Everton is the fact that it's not like they've been playing badly recently either. They've actually been winning games. Obviously, the 10-point deduction is a shame. But could this be a case where Everton might be able to stay up even with the points deduction because the teams around them are so bad? I mean,
I think Everton will still be fine. But it's who are they actually going to stop? Because I think some people are still sleeping on Luton. I think people are still sleeping on Luton Town. I think that's a shame. I mean, Burnley are still gone.
Burnley and Sheffield United
They're shit.
done for.
They're both
Done
shit.
for.
Yeah, like they have gone backwards. I think Bournemouth have got the results they need at the right time. I'm not sure who else is.
They'll hit a good run, I think, towards the end of the season. Bournemouth.
It's Everton or Luton Town, but I think both of them have got a chance of staying up. I would be surprised if Bournemouth switch and Bournemouth actually go down. Not because of Areola, but because the players just give up on him. But they shouldn't, because I think he's still a good enough manager.
I think Iraola has got what it takes. I think we're starting to see improvements. The only worry I think would be obviously that could it be a case where those first like 6, 7, 8 games, could they be the reason they go down almost?
Because they were very, very bad results. And 4 or 5 bad results at the start of the season does go against you. Significantly go against you.
Yeah, I mean,
So we'll see.
it's to find margins in a relegation battle.
I genuinely think as well, this is a funny thing I heard the other day, and I still think it's possible. And I actually think it might be true. This could be the season where as little as 30 points is enough to stay in the league.
Because everyone down there is so bad.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely think you could finish 17th with 24 points. Which is unheard of. I think you could literally survive relegation with 24 points.
We've seen the
38
opposite.
matches.
We've seen teams go down with almost 40 points.
Yeah. We have. I think this year you're going to see a team survive with 24 or thereabouts. And to be fair, my track record is good. I said City wouldn't win the league by more than 95 points last year.
We'll watch it. We'll watch that for this year as well, because I think they'll end up with a lower points total this year. It could be an 85-point title win this year for City.
I don't.
I imagine there might. My thought process behind it is, when a team wins a treble, I imagine some kind of drop off
There will be a few
in this
by
league.
points,
In this
but-
league,
by points a little bit, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure because there's a different level of push now than it was back then. It was one major forceful push. This year there's several. Can they go the distance? That's the question.
yeah. Right. Talk to me about Serie A.
Which part?
Why don't we start with Milan?
Not a good result. Performance-wise, to reflect the result, not good. Milan did win, but the performance didn't reflect it. Really poor. Having to get a goal from a set piece as well doesn't help. If you really want to challenge Juventus and Inter Milan, you need to have more than a 1-0 win against Fiorentina to show your capability. You've got to put 2 or 3 past them, if not 4, especially with the amount of money you've invested in that attack. The lack of dominance has unearthed them, especially with a European game coming up where they really need a strong performance. They need to take up a gear this week, particularly. They've got to take up a gear. I don't think they showed themselves enough against Fiorentina. Still got the win, but it just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough at all.
Yeah. What about the big game of the weekend? Inter and Juve.
That result goes in our favour. But that result has literally got Juventus stuck. Because they should have won that game. They should have won that game. But they let Inter get back in so fast. And they just played defensive the whole way through. They should have killed Inter Milan off. They didn't do it. They did not do it.
What about between the pair of them? What are we thinking for the title race itself?
I think it comes down to a couple of points between all 3 sides. I think Milan will catch them.
You think Milan could still catch them?
I think Milan can still catch them, yeah.
What makes you think that?
Past couple of seasons, Milan have ended the season very strongly. They have ended it very, very strongly. The players... Excuse me. The players do go up for it in the final season running. Obviously, Inter Milan and Juventus are in very good form. That means them losing 3 or 4 games
is enough to change everything.
But they can be got at. They can be. So I do think it's possible. I think 1 or 2 defeats for either of those 2 teams can really settle some questions, but can also raise a little bit of nerve. I do think they have a chance of catching them. I'm not going to say it's definite, but if Milan just keep winning games 1-0, 2-0, or even by like the odd goal here or there, if they concede like from now up until maybe February, March time, I think they'll really have Inter Milan and Juventus like panicking, because they have got that experience of catching teams now in that same way and building good runs. If they can do that, then they are genuinely got a chance. I don't think Milan are out of the title race yet. I don't think they're out of the title race yet. I think Inter Milan and Juventus are still the favourites, but I don't think Milan are out of it yet.
Interesting. It's interesting because I want to agree with you, but I just think that because Pioli's at the helm and it seems like it's run its course, even though we've seen a constant pattern of finishing the season strong, I just don't think it's going to be there. And I just think that Roma have started to get a grip on themselves. Teams are going to start catching up. I just worry that Milan won't have a strong finish, and it could see Pioli go at the end of the season. I'd actually be very surprised if he stuck around, regardless of whether it was
I still think he's not. I said at the start of the season, I think he has one last year. I think this, regardless, I think this is his final year. He is going into the season. I think. I don't think they'll want to keep him. I think they'll want to change.
Yeah.
I'm still confident. Just like I was that confident that Spalletti would get sacked by Napoli. And I called that before Napoli sources, funnily enough. Before they even announced, before anyone from Napoli, their fan channels were calling for it. I was saying he is going.
I remember the day when it started. I think I posted it or I tagged you in it or something along those lines, and I was like, "What's this? What's going on?" Because you've just been saying it for weeks last season.
I just said it, he is going. I actually had a few Napoli fans, funnily enough, message me after that. They actually randomly watched. They asked me, what's your source? I don't have one. I was like, I don't have one. I don't have sources because I'm not a journalist.
I can see the future.
But they were like, but you've got channels and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's because I just talk football with mates, and I talk wrestling on my own channel.
It's the equivalent of sitting in the pub having a pint and talking about the football.
Yeah,
none of the secret meetings.
Yeah, so they're like, have you got any sources that you think Spalletti's getting sacked? I was like, you'll win the league, but Spalletti gets sacked. Ironically enough, they didn't message me again until Milan beat them in the Champions League, and they were like, actually, I think I know exactly why you're saying he's getting sacked. I was like, yep. They were like, why is he getting sacked? I was like, Champions League. Your owner, as much as he wants that league, he would have wanted that Champions League title because you were probably the best team apart from Man City in the Champions League last year, and they came back to me and they were like, okay, you might be right, and I was like, I am right. Just wait, he's getting sacked. Fast forward, boom, he's gone. Mancini's in Saudi Arabia, and he's the Italian manager. I'll take my flowers now.
One thing I will, before we move on from Serie A, one thing I will ask about is,
I'm still writing Roma off though.
Yeah, I think that's said and done. I think
they're not good enough.
In fact, another question: what do you think is going to happen with Roma this season, and does Mourinho leave at the end of the season?
I think Mourinho has one last year.
After this one, or including this one?
Including this one, I think he'll go end of next season. I think he will really want to. I think he will want one last chance to say, let's try and go for the league. I think they'll go all in. They'll make a very crazy signing, and they'll go for it. They will just go for it. I think they will do everything to get out of the competitions early. It wouldn't surprise me if they get out eliminated from the the Coppa Italia. It wouldn't surprise me if they get eliminated quickly from Europe just to focus on the league, because that's what Capello did when they won the league. They got out of the competitions early, they focused on the league, and then bang, they won it. It wouldn't surprise me if Roma does the exact same thing.
I think it would be wise.
Yeah, because after that, he's coming back to the Premier League.
Yeah,
he is coming back to the Premier League He is getting the Newcastle job.
And I think it'll be at the perfect time as well.
Eddie Howe, mark my words, Jose Mourinho will replace you within 2 years. Barcode merchants with billions playing Mourinho's style of football.
Well, I think Eddie Howe has given the Newcastle players, it looks like they're playing with a bit of bite about them. And I think that's something that Mourinho can work with. Because his last couple of jobs in the Premier League, it hasn't been that.
Yeah.
Very few players, especially at Spurs.
And these are players that will buy into his style quick. Because these are players that are already used to playing defensive style of football.
Yeah.
And they can still play well in the counter-attack. That's a Mourinho team right there.
Yeah.
So there's no need to change the foundation. There's no need to say, oh, we're going to just...
You're bringing a winner. It's almost like you've got the structure already there. You just need the right face for it. You slot him in. It's not much he needs to change. It's not like he's coming into. It's not like he's gone into like prime Barcelona, for example.
Yep.
Straight after he had the Inter job, for example, he's gone, right, I need to change everything. Let's go.
It's ironic. Mourinho is going from Chelsea to Inter Milan. He's going from Roma to Newcastle, Chelsea to Inter, the same way. It's a team that's already built in his vision, that's already won things. You just need that icing on the cake. Mourinho will be the next Newcastle manager.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
And he will come out and he will literally, the first thing he does, I guarantee it, the first press conference he does, if he gets that Newcastle job, he will say to Sir Bobby Robson. And he'll drink a glass of wine at that press conference. I'm actually confident of that. He'll bring in a glass of wine. He'll say to Sir Bobby Robson.
I think it would be very fitting. I don't think it's a coincidence that Newcastle's almost been like a bogey team for him.
But it's because it's the one man that was responsible for his football career.
Yeah. I think that feeds nicely into our next topic of Manager Watch.
Yeah.
I did want to discuss firstly with Manager Watch about the three teams that came up to the Premier League in Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton. I saw a tweet today, shout out Vizza, if he ever sees this, because he opened a discussion where are Burnley fans mental for wanting to stick with company given all that's happening? And it made me think, obviously, like, what would you say for each manager, for each club? Would you stick or twist? Why, etc., etc.? What would be the benefits or drawbacks, etc.? Because it looks like, for example, Burnley might be going back down. So do you go back down with company, come back up, and because it could just be a player quality issue, or do you change it, try and see if you can stay in the Premier League? And you see what I'm saying? There's a load of different scenarios here.
I think for company, you've got to stick. I think with company, I think Burnley have to stick with him. Because the one thing that he did so well in the Championship was get his style across. The Premier League, it hasn't translated because, funnily enough, they don't have the quality, but two, they persist on it. There's no forcing the league to adapt to him. Ironically, it's what I've said numerous times on this show. He needs to force the narrative to change. It's not worked. Do they change it? It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a change in manager for Burnley, but it's how far do you go? If you're going to do it, it needs to be between now and the end of 2023. It must be between now and December 31st, because come January 1st, they only have 3 months. They have 3 and a bit months, 4 months to get the right results to stay in the league. And the amount of games that come thick and fast, I don't see it happening.
Okay, interesting. What about Sheffield United?
Their
What's happening
manager
with them?
sucks. Their manager sucks.
Well, granted, we accept that, but do they change? Do they,
No,
because it looked like
Nah, they're a shit club too. They're a shit club too because they never learn. Like they genuinely never learn. So they should just go back down and stay down.
they probably will. I think that the Premier League money, I think, has really helped. That I don't know much about their financial situation since
They aren't good
we
enough
all
to play
heard-
in the Prem. They don't deserve to be in the Prem. That might sound harsh, coming from someone who supports a club that's never been relegated from the Premier League. But I'm saying it based on the fact is I've seen clubs come up from the Premier League. They've actually gave it a chance. They've actually tried to take the league on. They've
But they
actually
haven't.
tried to do something.
They've done exactly what we said they would do. They've come up. They've gone.
Submission.
We're terrible. We know we're terrible. So we're gonna try and scrap as many draws, for example, as possible, and see if
Yeah.
we can get enough points
It's the
out
wrong
of those.
approach. It's the wrong approach. If you want to stay in this league, you gotta fucking earn it and you gotta fucking show it. They aren't doing it. I'm sorry, but they're not. I feel sorry for any genuine Sheffield United fan that has to watch that shit.
I think some are starting to call for the board to make a change, because I think
they need so much more. I think they need so much more than just a board.
well, they need.
a board.
I think they need a new manager probably, and a bunch of and a load of new players, probably a new
I think
spine
they
or whatever.
I also think they need. I think they need a spine, and I'm not saying a spine as in like backbone, grow some balls, and actually fight. I mean
You mean like a structure in the team, like a guy in the center of each position, striker, midfielder, defender, goalkeeper.
Old-fashioned style. But you need that spine, that core 4 or 5 players,
like
in your
Chelsea had
squad.
in the mid-2000s.
Yes, if you have that core spine, those are the players that you build around, and you just get every single bit right into your team. I think they're just missing a spine. Most of the players, funnily enough, most of the teams in the league have the same issue. They lack a spine.
Do you think Big Sam does a job there?
No, I think he's finished.
I'm hesitant to agree, to be honest, but
I would give them Tony Pulis instead.
oh,
Yeah,
how long has
I
it
would.
been since we saw Tony Pulis?
No idea, but I don't care. But again, it's Sheffield United. I'm surprised they haven't gone back for that manager that used to be theirs. Mind you, he's in a different job, so
Who, Chris Wilder?
yeah, he's in a job, I think.
No, he's not. He's actually out of a job. I thought he'd got a new job because I did mention his name a few weeks ago because the chairman or the owner
Did
has.
Paddy Kenny not used to play for them?
Paddy Kenny used to play for them, yeah.
Well, he's randomly just out of the blue quit his first ever job this morning after
Really?
30 odd days in charge. Yeah, he quit his non-league team this morning after 33 days in charge. Gould are called. He quit, so he can take the Sheffield United job and get relegated with Sheffield United.
No, I think they need someone. I think they need someone proven and old school, like a Warnock, potentially.
You want Sheffield United to actually stay up, and you suggest Neil Warnock?
No, I want to see Warnock in the Premier League just for Warnock content. I think Sheffield. I don't think Sheffield United have the quality, but I think if they want to show some fight, if
He
Sheffield
isn't
United
that type
care,
of manager. He isn't the man to get them fight. Not anymore.
I think
He hasn't even got the fight in his legs anymore.
I just think they need someone old school who can give them a kick up the arse.
I don't think they need an old school manager right now. I don't think it's necessarily old school that they're lacking.
Is that tonight's sponsor, Reece?
One bar juice.
Fair enough. I'm assuming Luton would be a different story, though, in terms of the
They're
fact
fine.
that they're trying. Whatever
got a
happens,
mixture.
they'll keep their manager.
Oh yeah, Rob Edwards is the mixture they've been searching for. Like, he's a mix of old school and new school. He can play that defensive system, that's like that old Route 1 style.
Yeah.
But then they can also play progressive, expansive style, and they've done it really well. Would surprise me if you've seen sacked boy Santos come back to the league and get one of those jobs as well. Sack boy Santos is what I'm calling him for a while until he gets a new job.
Jesus
Then he gets sacked from that, and then I'll call him sack boy again.
That's fair enough.
I think he is. I think he should be a favourite for one of these clubs if they look at a managerial change. I think Sheffield United should go and get Santos, to be fair. Because he's already proved that he can do it. I think he can do it with those players.
He's proved it, yes. I just think that I don't think the structure is there for him to work with, and I think that he will feel his stock is too high. I think that if you look at a club in another league that finishes 4th every year and gets Champions League or Europa League, I think he'll be probably thinking one of those clubs would suit him better. When he was at Valencia years and years and years ago, that kind of, just before Valencia's biggest fall off ever.
He will never get that kind of job again, though.
Well, no, I don't think he will. But
he won't.
I just think that maybe he might think for a while still that his stock is still there.
The only stock he's got is the bags that he's picked up for Saudi or Qatar or wherever he was. If a Premier League club comes in for him and says, we want to give you an offer, he'll take it. If Sheffield United give him a contract, he'll take it.
You reckon?
Oh yeah. Relegated or not, he would take it. And for an instant, he would get Jorge Mendes involved. And that would actually help Sheffield United. Because he would give them a better calibre of player that they need as well to compete and to stay in and progress up the league a bit.
Ring up some of the players, listen, let's get the band back together.
He could easily he could easily get some serious level of player for Sheffield.
Possibly, yeah.
It's there. And Jorge Mendes would certainly help with that. So I would say go for it. I would genuinely say go for it. I would get him now. The only one that the Premier League clubs can't afford is Lopetegui. From those 3 clubs, the only ones they can't afford is Lopetegui. They can get Santos, but Lopetegui, no chance.
Where next for Lopetegui, do you think?
I could see him in Italy.
Do you reckon he could fit there?
Yeah. I think there's clubs that suit his style effectively well. And he does that. I don't know if there's any other Premier League club. I think Wolves let him down massively.
Yeah, Wolves 100% let him down. Do you reckon he gets the West Ham gig if Moyes goes?
I did say that on, what was it, last week's show? Week before? I said I
Might
could see Lopetegui get the
ago.
West Ham job. Yeah. I said I could see Lopetegui get that job. I'd be alright with that, because I think it would work.
To be fair, he's been on United's list
for a while.
When Jose and when Ole got sacked. He was one of those 4 or 5 names where they went, we respect him, but we've got other candidates ahead of him.
He deserves to get a job like that again, because Real Madrid let him down fast. I thought it didn't start well, but it didn't necessarily get a chance to finish either. They really jumped the gun on Lopetegui too quickly.
It was straight after the El Clasico, wasn't it, that they got rid of him?
Yeah, immediately after they brought Zidane back in. I'd be like, yeah, Zidane's great and all that, but I would have stuck by. The only good thing is now is Zidane's available for other clubs.
What do you think will happen to Zidane, actually? Because I was thinking about this recently, because I watched the highlights of the World Cup final again, and for a solid moment I remember watching that game back in last year, and I remember thinking, because when they were 2-0 down, I thought, because the rumours were heating up that Zidane was going to replace Deschamps after the tournament, and I was just there thinking, that's it for Deschamps. And then Mbappe scores twice, and you think, oh my God, could he have saved Deschamps here? And Deschamps is still there. And I think that Zidane keeps getting linked to Saudi. I think I mean, one thought
No,
I had
I
was
don't see that.
whoever
see that.
out. I think there's more of a chance between Deschamps and Zidane. Whoever, whether it's Deschamps stays at France or Zidane gets the France job, whoever loses out on the France gig would probably go there. But I don't know. I
don't think either men go to Saudi. I think Zidane gets France or Zidane gets Italy. Depends on what happens with Allegri.
You think?
I think he's the only. I think that's the only club in football that he would look at.
Juventus.
I don't. Yeah.
How could he fare there though? Because isn't that such a jump? You go from Allegri, who's maybe not. I don't want to say all about tactics, but he's very tactical driven, to Zidane, who's very like Carlo Ancelotti, very man manager, very. Not gonna say no tactics, just vibes, but
Zidane's second tenure at Real Madrid was arguably his best for tactics. In terms of actual tactical structure, he could certainly do something with that Juventus team at a different level. Allegri's great for them, and Zidane would take them to a different level, and it would allow Allegri to go and do something different as well, because he deserves that. That guy gets so much shit when he's genuinely one of the world's best tacticians. And I'm like, how can this guy keep getting disrespected? He is genuinely brilliant.
Do you think he's a victim of Juve's downfall? Because he lost the job initially at Juve. You know, he left because of no Champions League, Ronaldo, etc. He leaves. It gets worse for them. Granted, Sarri wins in the league, but that Juve team was not the same Juve team it was 2-3 years prior. And then it just gets worse and worse. And then he comes in, charged with this rebuild, and it's almost been like
he's actually
everything has
been
but it seems like he's done that, and everything has still been against him. So do you think that because of how bad Juve are, he's almost been a victim of their downfall, and maybe he's not looked on as favorably as probably he should be?
He is a victim of success and a victim of negligence. Because let's be real, when you look at successful managers, he's Juventus' best manager since Marcello Lippi. That goes way past Ancelotti, that goes way past Deschamps, that goes way past Conte. Their best manager since Marcello Lippi in the 90s. Like Capello obviously had 2 good years, but they were taken away because of scandals. But the actual quality that Lippi produced at 2 spells, both in the 90s and the early 2000s, genuinely some great stuff. That's what Allegri has done, and he's had 2 spells where he's generally won stuff, and yet he gets shit for everything. I'm like, this guy would walk into Man United and win the Man United League title. He would. This guy walks into Real Madrid and he wins the Champions League that he deserves. Like, he's one of 2 managers in world football that deserves a Champions League for everything they've done success-wise. Him and Diego Simeone.
Do you reckon his time for Real Madrid has passed? Because obviously when he left Juventus was around the time Zidane had just come back for a second time. And, you know, there was talk that maybe Allegri, because I believe Allegri has said that, I don't know, there was a rumor somewhere that
he was favourite.
Not just a favourite, there was an agreement in place and it just never went through. Can't remember what the sources were, whether it's...
He done a Capello. Ironically, he did a Capello. He went back to a club that knew him because he knew he'd get a job there. And I bet he regrets it. Capello went to Real Madrid for a year, won the league, and then went back to Milan when the Bosman rule had just come in, and it wasn't the Milan that he saw, and he was like, nah, I can't. He won the league and left. He's like, nah, pack this shit, I'm out. And he says that's the worst mistake he ever made. That's why he went back to Real Madrid to the late 2000s. He won the league. Similar circumstance. Allegri was going elsewhere. He took a sabbatical and he went back to Juventus, won them the Coppa Italia, hasn't won them the league, but he's got them challenging for this year, and he'll still not get the respect he deserves. I really like Allegri. I know it's might come across as boring football. His style isn't boring. It's effective stuff. It's just very organised. I mean, for goodness sake, his Juventus team nearly beat Real Madrid in an amazing final. They were close against Barcelona until Barcelona just decided to put the ball in the back of the net. And they swept that Monaco side that were amazing 7 years ago. He deserves it. He and Simeone are the only two managers in football, in my opinion, that deserve a Champions League for what they've done at a single club in particular. So obviously, Allegri was amazing in Milan, so I've got a little bit of favouritism there. But Simeone's 12 years on, he deserves a Champions League for Atletico.
Let's just let me put a scenario to you then. Allegri leaves at the end of the season. Zidane goes to Juve. Maybe Allegri takes a year out. Okay. Where next for him? Where could you see him going?
Back to Milan, or potentially the Italian job, depending on what happens with Spalletti.
The Italian job. Sorry, just saying the phrase like that just obviously makes me think of.
It's an amazing film. But no, I genuinely think you could either take the Italian job, or he could end up back at AC Milan, and I would be alright with that. I would genuinely be okay with that.
Do you think if he was to leave in the next year or so, do you reckon it would be timed around the same time Pioli goes, or do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Milan's shortlist next year for Pioli is either De Serbi or Allegri. I don't see it being Conte at all.
Conte, the choice of Napoli to go for an interim till the end of the season, I think says that Conte wouldn't agree to go mid-season. He wants a pre-season.
I think he would have taken the Napoli job now if he wanted to. I think he would have done. But I think there's another thing there. I think Napoli aren't sure as well who they want. I don't think they know.
Almost like giving themselves, similar to what we did when Oli left, give ourselves 6-7 months to figure out who it is we want, what it is we want.
And then you regret the decision straight after.
Yeah. One thing I did want to discuss actually was the Xabi Alonso is a name that you've brought up on this podcast a lot, and obviously you have every right to praise him for how well he's doing. Thomas Tuchel's currently at the helm there. Neither of us here were convinced by him from the very beginning. So links saying there, with rumours coming around that Xabi Alonso is the next manager for Bayern Munich. Obviously, firstly, I'll say it doesn't surprise us more so for the fact that Tuchel will leave soon. But give me your thoughts on those links.
Not gonna happen.
What's wrong with them? Are they just paper talk? Is there anything there, or
that's not the job?
Would it be the wrong decision anyway?
That's not the job he's gonna get. There's only one job with Xabi Alonso's name on it. Real Madrid, 2024.
There are rumours circulating now, though, that they're looking to give Ancelotti a new contract.
I honestly think he's going Brazil.
You think he's going to go anyway?
Yeah. I think he'll honour it. I think he'll honour it to himself. He'll go.
Okay.
And I think Xabi Alonso, I don't think Real Madrid are going to employ De Serbi.
No.
I don't think
no,
they will. I think
that's too much, I think.
I think they'll go for Xabi Alonso. Because he already understands the club. He's already won at the club. And he's already doing well at a club as well. I think they'll genuinely take him under consideration. I think they will, especially with the amount of goals and goals conceded they've done. Genuinely amazing defence, an amazing attack, consistent style. They'll literally go, right, what's it going to take? We want you here. Xabi Alonso versus Xavi next year, I genuinely think will happen. I think Bayern would be a great move for him.
Yeah,
I
talk
don't
to me.
see
But
happening.
I know you don't see it happening, but entertain it for a moment, because I mean,
Yeah, of course.
I would worry for him, because we've seen a lot of managers, especially after Pep, come in and last somewhere between around 18 months, give or take. You know, we saw Ancelotti come in, he left after a year and a bit. Jupp Heynckes came out of retirement for what, obviously because of that. Niko Kovac came in, then he was replaced by Hansi Flick.
He was, yeah.
Then Nagelsmann comes in, and then he's replaced by Tuchel. So there's a lot of short-termism at Bayern. Like, what are those problems that cause all that? Are they still there, or would they be worried for Xabi Alonso? Just entertain the scenario for a second. Say Thomas Tuchel gets his marching orders, or he finds a way to get himself sacked. I don't know. Xabi Alonso goes in. How are we seeing this fair? I know maybe you could argue that he's doing really well and he deserves a top job. He was at Bayern for 3 years and he won there, especially under Pep.
Yep.
But Julian Nagelsmann came with a high pedigree. It was almost like it was his dream job. People were saying from Leipzig and what he was achieving after Hoffenheim, Bayern was the obvious next step. So would this differ to the Nagelsmann appointment? And would it differ in outcome?
I think club level is definitely two of the dream jobs for him. I think the other one is Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid is the one he really does want more than anything, though. I think him going to Bayern, it would definitely be a similarity to Nagelsmann, where he's proven his style of play in a different manner at Bayer Leverkusen, and it's working. But it's, will he be able to translate that style? That's my question, and I'm not sure. I think those Bayern players are set in stone for one particular method of play, and that's all they do. It's all they know. And these players are very untrustworthy as well. When you've seen how well they've played, I think the good thing going for them this year, though, is they've been so effective in front of goal that they've been able to change things a little bit. The only thing is, though, is defensively they're still a bit off the park. I think going to Bayern, where he's playing a back three at the moment in his exciting back three system, will he do a back three? Will he do a back three at Bayern, just like would he do a back three at Madrid, or would he do a back four and play his same style, but say, like, I'm just going to have to make a little tactical tweak in this manner? I don't know. I think it's definitely about using his tactical nous, and he is capable of it. I think he's very tactically inept. He's not tactically inept, like, that's for sure. He's very clever tactically. He's a very good manager. I really do rate him. I'm eager to see. I'm not sure. I think it's a bold call.
What about those names of the past, though? Where did they go wrong? Start with Ancelotti.
Ancelotti just allowed. He was too laid back with those players. He was too laid back, and manage-wise, it was not going anywhere. Like, it wasn't going anywhere, in my opinion. He was already lost. Even though he won 2 league titles and all that, he was lost. I think that summed up for me.
Fair enough.
And I think he would be again if he'd done it.
Okay. So what about Kovac then?
Wasn't good enough in general. Like,
what were his credentials taking
None.
the job? Because I found it a surprise appointment personally.
I don't think he deserved the job. That might sound harsh, but I don't think he was genuinely good enough. Like, I would
Who would
not have. I
Would
would not have given him
Nagelsmann
the
have been
job.
the right appointment then, or would it have been was there a better name in your eyes in 2018?
I think it would have been a bit too soon. I would have went for Tuchel there and then. I think they should have went for Tuchel there rather than waiting. I think they made the wrong mistake. I think they waited too long. I think Tuchel should stick out though. I don't think they should get rid of Tuchel.
Really?
Yeah. I
How long would
think
you give Tuchel though?
let him have his whole contract. I don't think Bayern have played bad under him. I think overall, I don't think they've been bad. I think the problem is though is just that they're playing like a Bayern team that are decisive rather than playing beautiful football. They're trying to be decisive in matches. I would let Tuchel stick with this. And I'm not a massive fan of Tuchel, but I think he's a good manager. I think they should stick with him. I wouldn't bail out on him.
I just feel that you can always see a loss around the corner with this Bayern team.
Yeah, that's long.
Something about the Super Cup game against Leipzig.
Oh yeah, that was great.
That was great for you, yeah. But when I was watching it as a neutral, my thought process behind it was just that I was watching it as like this team aren't Bayern. They don't seem like a team that can win the Bundesliga every year. The only reason they won it last year was they were first when he came in, bottled the league, and then Dortmund just went, "No, we don't want it. You have it."
Yeah,
and then
Dortmund just allowed it to happen. Dortmund letting it happen was the downfall for them. They made one too many mistakes and they got caught, and they deserved it. They deserved it. So
yeah.
fuck them. That's my opinion on that anyway. But Bayern's time eventually will come where they make so many mistakes they get caught out.
Do you think the likes of Müller and Neuer, the big experienced names in that dressing room, do you think once they maybe move on, something fresh can be built?
Yeah, I think so. I think they should already be doing that now. They should already be looking for their next number one. But I don't know why they aren't doing it. I don't know why they don't give Nubel a chance. Like, why not use?
I was going to say Nubel was signed nearly 4 years ago,
and they've just loaned him out. They never gave him a chance to cement himself. They're stuck with Ulreich, who I think is crap. Muller, they've got Musiala right there. Just say to Muller, right? You're a legend, but it's time. Sané's there, Goretzka's there, Serge Gnabry. If they don't pull up trees, then you can always sign another German winger or a German attacker to build your team around. But I would be like, it's time.
Yeah, I think Bayern need a bit of a refresh. They've had a massive refresh at the back the last couple of years.
Yeah, they have.
And a lot of new players coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think we need to see more of that further up the pitch.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think you'll see a whole change to Bayern once the likes of Neuer and Müller moves on. Don't know how far it'll go though. You know what I mean? I don't know how far, but it'll be interesting to see.
Of course. Talk to me about Rangers then. How's Phil getting on there?
To be fair, I don't think he's done bad. I don't think he's done bad at Rangers. I think the only thing for them is that the not beating Aberdeen really has come back to haunt them a little bit with the points, because they have got a game in hand on Celtic, but ideally they should have beat Aberdeen to add more pressure. But the cup final is coming up as well, ironically against Aberdeen. I still think he'll get that trophy. I still think they'll win. I think Rangers will just turn up in the final and you'll see a change. But the first level performance wasn't great overall, but there's something there. There are some positives, especially with the average of goals per game and that they're going to obtain. I'm really impressed. I think it's like 3.46 or something.
So obviously you've got a game in hand on Celtic,
but it's still a massive points gap.
What is it, like 8 points?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that maybe the league has written off the season and more just like a get to know what the manager wants and maybe challenge next year with the right recruitment?
Yeah, I also think the players are actually responding to him. So I think with that, because the players are actually stepping up to him, that they might actually force a bit of pressure on Celtic. But I still think the league is gone, but they can still win both domestic cups.
Well,
And I think that would go in favour.
There is talk that he's lifted the dark cloud that Mick Beale left behind, which I think speaks a little bit of volume. But do you think maybe he gets players in January?
I think he'll try. I think he'll try to make a bit of recruitment, but I don't know what will be afforded to him. I really don't know.
Do you see any players leaving?
Maybe one or two. I think he might recall Hadji. I think he might recall Hadji from his loan deal. He might recall Alex Lowry.
Where is Hadji, by the way?
He is playing for Alaves, I think. I think it's Alaves he's playing for, yeah, on loan. What
happened to Hadji? He was just there at the top and then suddenly he just disappeared.
His injury, and then Michael Beale preferred Tom Cantwell. I like Todd Cantwell, but is he better than Hadji? No. Like, not even close. I think he can get both into the same team and still be effective. I think he might, potentially, you could see a striker or two. I think they need to get rid of Dessers. I don't think he's been good enough. I think Daniel has been excellent, but Dessers is crap.
Jesus.
Yeah. Seema's scoring goals, which is good. I think Raskin or Lundstrom, one of them have to go. Preferably Lundstrom. I think you might see defensive changes. But other than that, I don't see anything major until the summer. I don't even know what he's going to spend. It'll be interesting to see who he does keep and who he wants out. Especially if it's high dominant football that Rangers have generally played well under him so far. But they need to stop relying on Tavernier as well. I think he needs to, like, the output needs to be seriously increased out with bar him, but he is still heavy. But if he's going to constantly be in attacking positions to get goals, he needs to stop being a fullback.
So what, do you play him more in midfield, you reckon, then, or?
I'd play him as if he wants to play in that wing position, I'd play him as a right winger. Especially if it's attacking wise and actually crossing the ball into the box, but also being decisive. I think Tavernier's capable of playing as a right winger for like 2-3 seasons. And you have Dijon Sterling play as right back.
Yeah.
It is an option. I would certainly give it a shot.
Changes of foot then at Rangers. It's a process and it looks good at the moment.
I think so. I mean, it's still a fair while to go though. I'm not going to get so gassed on it. But I do like what I've seen so far. I won't lie, I do like what I've seen so far.
Interesting. Now, are there any other managers you want to bring to the table before we move on?
I'm not sure. I can't think of anyone. I think Ten Hag has secured his job though.
Until Anfield away in December.
Potentially. But I think he's safe.
Are we going to start questioning Pep?
No. Not a chance.
That's fair enough. Right. Now to the special feature of tonight. We're doing a tier list.
Yeah.
It feels interesting that I'm hosting a tier list for once and not Reece. Now, the subject I've decided to pick is a
horrible one.
Well, horrible for you. I'd enjoy it personally, but It would be a United signings post Fergie,
Yep,
including
so
the ones
horrible.
made just now. Now, Reece, I
Yes.
don't know how to share screen.
So it's share. So you click on present, then share screen. My edit looks absolutely brand spanking.
Right, so at the moment we've only got 5. We've got great signing, solid player, bit disappointing, major flop, and what were they thinking? Reece, are there any changes you want to make to that?
I think we could have another one potentially. Just say like,
Jury's out.
I was gonna say overall okay or something like that. Or I think jury's out's a bit of a good laugh. I think overall you could have just not a bad choice.
I think I need to change the color scheme because I find what were they thinking being green a bit misleading as opposed to great signing being red.
I think it's possible.
I think overall okay is probably a good one because I'm trying to think of, like, for example, the players that have just come in. And,
Yeah.
to an extent, it might seem a little unfair that, we're saying, oh, they're terrible, and vice versa, they've been amazing. With the perspective of, it's too soon to call. So
we can certainly run through that and make
We'll
be fair as possible.
We'll try to be, won't we?
For sure.
So, shall we start with Marouane Fellaini?
He scored the third goal on the derby versus City on my 18th, the 4-2 when he scored the third goal, and it was just so funny. But I don't think Marouane Fellaini was a great signing. I don't think he was crap either. I think he is a general circumstance of overall okay because we generally played at times to his strengths of being a big man that can score goals. And even though we should never have signed them, but when we asked to do a job, he actually did his job. Like he got paid to do a job and he actually did his job. So
yeah, I agree. I think the one issue with Fellaini was we needed a midfielder who could play. He wasn't that. We spent the summer being linked to the likes of Thiago, Fabregas, even Khedira, and many other, even Ander Herrera at the end of that summer.
Ironically, he could play, but he could only play in a specific way.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. It was more or less we were looking for someone a bit more creative, if you know what I mean. When you look at the likes of Thiago, Herrera, Toni Kroos, Fabregas, I'm not saying they're all the same,
of course,
but they offered more on the ball. But I think that no one expected much more from Fellaini than what we got.
I think if you're signing Fellaini, you still need a creative outlet beside him, so he can still be,
of course, yeah,
that brutal force.
Fellaini had just come off the back of his best season at Everton, his best scoring season, where he was playing almost as like a second striker.
Yeah.
And then we brought him in and was like, can you play deep midfield? Yeah. So, terrible signing.
Because ironic, because the manager that signed him was the one that got the best out of him.
Yeah, exactly. So it was almost a case of like, I can get him to play what I want. If anyone can ask him to do that, it's me, almost, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing, really.
But he was useful, and he proved useful. He had some big moments, and no matter how much he got edged out of the team, he always found a way of coming back.
Yeah.
So I think the guy just got on with it. He just got on with it, and then found his way into the team and always seemed to have a good end to the season. At least he did under Louis, for example. You know, we signed a few midfielders, and it looked like Fellaini was going to be like a 4th, 5th choice player, and then he ended up
being
starting towards the end of the season. So I think maybe from a club point of view, maybe a bad signing, but overall Fellaini was okay. There were points where everyone would like mock him or whatever, but
yeah.
So I think overall okay is probably a good shout. Juan Mata now.
The same.
You'd put overall okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to plead your case?
He played for years without being in his proper position, so he was as effective as he should have been. But he still got numbers. He was always professional, either when he started or when he didn't. He never said anything bad about the club, especially when he left. Like anything negative surrounding the club, he never said anything negative. He always ensured that it was a welcoming environment for young players as well, and for new players that are more experienced that were signed. He gave them an anchor. In true testament that even the fact that he played under a manager that got rid of him at his previous club, where he won back-to-back Player of the Years for that club, he still ended up being important for him.
True.
But
true.
When we really need him to be a creative outlet consistently, like when you look at Juan Mata, we're needing 15, 20 assists from him. We are, because that's what he is. He was a number 10 that could create and score goals. And we aren't getting that. What's up, Doug?
Evening, Doug. Hope everything is okay with you. Hope everything is good with you, mate.
Likewise. So in terms of Juan Mata, like, we didn't get a 15 to 20 goal number 10 or a 15 to 20 goal and assist inverted right winger. So by that standards, that's disappointing. But it's the fact on the consistency side where he actually at least showed up every week is important. And he had main big moments, like the goal against Juventus, the goal against Liverpool. He still showed up. That's why I say overall okay.
Yeah, Di Maria got suspended. Mata came in, pulled up trees. You had Wanfield, you had the Manchester Derby, and suddenly we went on a long run and finished in the top 4 that season. Mata was almost our main right winger for a lot of time, a lot of like that period.
That is correct.
And he wasn't a right winger. I'd want to put him in a bit disappointing only because of the fact that what we were getting, but you're right to say overall okay, because he did the best he could out of position. You imagine if, for example, we played him in the 10. If we played him in the 10 consistently, who's to say he wouldn't have got those numbers? Especially in assists.
Yeah,
but again, it's a criticism on the club because we signed him in January as a panic almost. He wasn't the right player we needed. Good player nonetheless. But at the time, it was like we were getting a player who Chelsea didn't want anymore. Mm-hmm. In the sense of he was a quality player, but the new manager saw him as a bit of a cast-off. So it was almost like we were doing an Arsenal and going for Chelsea rejects. That's not disrespect. I don't mean that disrespectfully to Mata. He was an excellent player, but
still true though.
His best time, the first few months, he wasn't quick to the mark. But when he started to play well at United, was when Van Persie was injured. Rooney played as the striker, and he played in the 10. You know, he got 2 goals in 2 games.
Ironically, he came to the club as a number 10. He played as a number 10 behind the main striker, and then all of a sudden he's been playing out wide. Like that makes no sense to me. Like, he's playing as a number 10, then all of a sudden he's playing as a right winger, when everybody knows he's a number 10.
It's just another classic case of a nice name signing that we didn't know what to do with.
Yep.
So David Moyes gets sacked. Louis van Gaal comes in. 26th, 27th, 28th of June. I can't remember the exact dates, but I just remember out of nowhere, Shaw and Herrera were almost a double signing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with Luke Shaw. What do you make of this one?
He's got cases to being solid, okay, and a bit disappointing.
Let's discuss this. Let's think about this. He's been outstanding for maybe
Don't
two
say-
6-month periods.
Yeah. If you said years there, then we'd have argued, because that's a lie. He does go missing a lot. He does have good games though. He has a mixture.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of points that when he does go missing, people will bring up the fact that he's been here almost 10 years now,
He has.
and not
That's
enough
not
has
good
been
enough.
seen.
It's generally not good enough.
You know, good player nonetheless, but
If
he had 6 good months,
and then he's called the best left back in the world.
and then suddenly he has the biggest fall off. You know, he comes in, his first season he was very shaky. He started his second season really well, then he had the leg break. And Jose
Yep.
comes in and goes, he
Tells him the truth.
needs my brain in his head. Doesn't play him
Tells
for 3 years.
Tells him the truth. He couldn't take it.
Yeah. Then Ole comes in, and then things start to get better slowly, very slowly. Then he looks really good, and then he fall off again. It's just too much inconsistency.
Absolutely.
We're hanging our hat right now, saying, "Oh, glad to see he's back," etc., etc., etc. But you know, it's not good enough. So, considering we paid big money for him at the time,
Yep.
in terms of expensive teenager, do we go? I would put him in either disappointing or overall okay. Because I looked from the
honestly going to
offset.
say overall okay.
Okay.
I'm honestly tempted to say overall okay, because I do think at times he generally has been shocking. And it's not even a hard miss. There we go, now I've got a better view of me with the two giants of the game. There we go.
I think I'd put him in. It's difficult because I just don't think there's been anywhere. You know, if he had 4 good years, 4 bad years, I'd say overall okay. But I don't think he's been good for enough of those years to say. Do you know what I mean? Because for me, overall okay, it has to cancel each other out.
Exactly.
I
And we
don't
don't
think it
see it.
does. I think I'd put him in a bit disappointing because of the expectation and what we've got.
I'm alright with that. I'm okay with that.
So Luke Shaw, a bit disappointing. He could still turn it around, but we're 10 years now.
And Herrera, I like him, but he's the exact same.
You'd put him in disappointing.
In fact, I'll go one further. So is Marcus Rojo.
Rojo is what we thought we were gonna. What Lissandro Martinez is what we thought Rojo was gonna be.
Yep. So and Herrera in the same spot.
Would you put him? Why would you put him in disappointing?
Because when you look at overall seasons, he only had 1 good season. That's it. Other than that, he didn't do enough. The next one, on the other hand, was
Were
the
we
biggest
expecting?
shock
Were
of
we
them all.
expecting a lot though from Ander Herrera?
considering how well he played for Atletico, yeah. I was expecting a whole lot more. We didn't get it. The next one is one of the biggest shocks of them all.
Di Maria.
No, he's not. He's not overall okay. Put him down. Di Maria though is literally a major flop.
He is 100%.
Really, like that one should have worked. He was at the prime of his.
It's crazy because he was almost the right player, and we needed him. We needed a player like him in the position
at that time.
Off the back of a really good season.
They got man of the match in the final where he wasn't even looked at it as the best player.
When you look at his stats as well, his stats looked okay for a first season, but when you look at the context behind the fact that first few months he was good, then there was a bit of a mess, and then eventually he was like, I'm not having this anymore.
I'm done. Yep.
Yeah, I think if he'd gone into United maybe straight after Sir Alex had left, because bear in mind there was a lot of change in that first season under Louis.
He would have played in that right hand side.
Yeah, 100%.
Him or Gareth Bale, depends on who gets signed. They would have been the right winger. It's crazy. We could have had Di Maria and Ronaldo, or Bale Ronaldo. We still would have had Mourinho's main wingers, which is crazy. The next one's a great signing.
Daily 100%.
Daley Blind was a great signing. Because twice he's left Ajax and they've twice failed.
Everything.
He is
guy played in midfield, at left back, at centre back, did so well when called upon. Honestly, if he stuck around 6 months longer than when he actually left, Ollie obviously came in. Ollie would have loved him.
Yeah, he would.
Solskjaer would have loved him, especially as a 6, because we didn't have in any of those. And Matic couldn't play every game anymore. Daley Blind could. Honestly, he was one of our best signings of the last 10 years. Daley Blind.
Yeah. The next one's one of the best strikers I ever saw. And
oh my god.
I'm not going to disgrace this man. I'm not going to put him in the bottom 2 categories. I'm putting him in a bit disappointing. Because he was the right man, wrong time. Because when he went back to Monaco after the Chelsea loan deal, is when he finally got back to his best.
But he came to us, scored 4 goals, then went to Chelsea and was even worse.
Went back to Monaco and he just clicked.
Yeah.
He got away. But that's because he didn't get injured.
I actually thought we were going to win.
Football.
I thought we were going to do so well with him in the team.
Yeah, so did I, because he was fantastic. Him, Van Persie, Di Maria, Rooney, we had such a strong attacking contingent.
Oh my god.
We just let it struggle. The next one, I've got a lot of respect for this man, but it's what were they thinking? There's no debate. Victor Valdez is bottom tier.
This is a weird one in itself.
We didn't need him.
Because we signed him as a backup. He played 1 good game and 10 minutes of another. And then...
Even though we had already had Sergio Romero at the club, we didn't need Victor Valdez.
No, we signed Valdez 6 months before we signed Romero. We signed him in January. He didn't play all season until the last game and a half of the season. Then Louis turns up in pre-season and goes, Valdez isn't part of my plans or whatever, doesn't fit my philosophy, etc. Romero gets signed.
Valdez joined when Van Gaal was in charge.
Yeah, but he joined January 2015. Romero joined in...
Yeah.
They were both his signings. June 2015, we saw Romero come in.
We did. And it was the right choice because he was a great signing.
Sergio Romero was 100% a great signing.
Yeah. Memphis, just like Di Maria, he flopped. He was the big money that we spent on him, and the best game he had was Club Brugge.
He was pretty good against Midtjylland as well, actually.
Yeah, he should have done a whole lot better, but he didn't. And I think if he came back to Man United now, he'd be a whole lot better for us.
Do you think? Oh, there have been multiple instances the last few years where we could have signed him, and he would have been so much better.
He would have been right here for it now. He would have been.
Do you think that the injury to Shaw maybe, because he looked good at the start of the season, and then Shaw got injured, and then I know a lot of players were like this, but he fell off.
Possibly, but relationships should be the defining factor. Players should be able to form relationships with any player in their team. If you're only based on one player, then you're going nowhere.
That's a good point. But it's always about compatibility as well. I know obviously we look at players objectively and say they should be doing it regardless of who plays behind them or to the left of them or whatever. Yeah. But I just think that in some cases, maybe because we spent most of the season playing either a right back or a left-sided centre back as our left back that season. So it was almost like he couldn't, in some cases, he couldn't do. I mean, to be fair, people are saying the same thing about Rashford right now. With Shaw being out of the team, people have been saying, is that relationship with Shaw more important than we realised? Maybe it is. Partnerships are great to have, but at what point
should be the whole team.
But at what point do you start saying, hang on, this is ridiculous. You can't just blame a person's bad form based on who their partner is.
Exactly. And that's the question needs to be asked.
And I think that with Memphis, it was a bit too much. There was just way too many bad games, way too many anonymous games. I think it's telling that you sign Anthony Martial, who obviously we'll come to. You sign him as a young striker, hoping he might lead the line. Next thing you know, Memphis Depay is on the bench, either as your backup striker or backup winger. Because Martial's come in, he's doing really well, especially on the left-hand side as well. Then you've got Rashford breaking through. So I think it's very telling when you get replaced by two young, unproven players who did not come off the back of a great season like he did. So I think, and also taking the number 7 when he did, it's too much.
Should have stuck with a 9. Not that
the 9 he had in pre-season, it suited him so much better. Matteo Darmian.
Overall okay, actually. He didn't put it wrong. He didn't put it wrong. He was just, the problem is we didn't put him in the system that suited him best. We played him as a wing back, not a full back, not a wing back. And that's the difference. You play him.
Did you put that down to the managerial change?
Yes.
Because under Louis, obviously, from what his philosophy was, fullbacks going forward was something he wanted a lot more of. But then Jose comes in and goes, I need you to be so defensive.
He would have worked under Jose as a fullback though. Like, that's the thing. Jose just didn't allow him to be. Kept him very reserved, and that didn't help Darmian at all. So
no,
I can look at what we're okay. I can't mark that down.
The problem is you can't really put him in a bit disappointing either, because it's almost like, what were we expecting?
Yeah.
This was a guy a lot of people hadn't heard of. All I knew of him at the time was he played on the left or the right side of a midfield.
Played right midfield and left midfield at Torino.
Yeah. And am I right in saying they played a back 3 at the time?
3-5-2.
Yeah. And then he went to Parma, and then he went to Conte's Inter, where he played in a similar role, and now he plays at centre back. So he's doing,
and he's consistent.
He's doing his thing out there. I just think that I just don't think he was good enough, but we weren't expecting much. So you can't really put what were they thinking or major flop, because it was not nowhere near that bad, but it wasn't
correct
that great either. So really, it's just very average. Schweinsteiger,
solid.
Do you think he was a solid player?
He didn't put a foot wrong for Man United when he played for us.
He was injured a lot though.
But when he played though, he didn't put a foot wrong.
I'd hesitate because
I don't remember him having a single bad performance.
No, I don't think he was one of those players that I think you always had a good performance. The problem is he was injured a lot.
Even when we
he
played
didn't
shit,
play
he was
enough.
still a standout. That says a lot about this team.
No, of course. But I just think that with the expectation of what we were getting as well, you know, we signed him for about what, 7-8 million quid. We thought
we knew that he was. We knew we knew regardless. We knew we were getting an injury from a player because he had a bad couple injuries for Bayern. So we knew that.
I don't know.
But even when he did play, he was one of our better players in midfield because he actually tried to control games. He tried to make things happen. That team didn't do a fucking thing, and then Jose admitted he made a mistake.
That performance against Liverpool at Old Trafford by Schweinsteiger, quality.
Exactly. So you just proved my point. So he stays solid. The other one, on the other hand, can go right to the fucking bottom.
What were they thinking?
Yeah, Schneiderlin was shit.
No, I'd put him in major flop because I thought what we were getting at the time, we were getting one of the best holding midfielders in the league that wasn't playing for a top 4, top 5 side. You know, he looked really good in that Southampton team. And you know, I'd put him in major flop because he was just so bad. It wasn't, for me, it was a case of we signed what we thought we were getting a good player, but he just didn't turn out to be that. And he was right to move on.
Let's just complete what were we thinking straight away before we even get there. So what were they thinking is Daniel James, Lee Grant, Dubravka, Igalo.
Lee Grant, Igalo.
Yep, he was crap. Dubravka.
Where is he?
Actually, put both of those fucking goalkeepers in that.
I was going to say
list.
Dubravka and Butland.
Yep. And Tom Heaton, we shouldn't have brought him back. I don't think it was he's done nothing in that sense. And I think we need another category, and that's it. It's aren't going to go anywhere, or potentially just not going to get a chance, and that's Palestri and Diallo on their own. Just aren't likely to. So you can't form a fair opinion on them. It's Diallo and Palestri.
I disagree slightly.
Maybe not going anywhere, but just saying like unable to discuss. Because we can't. Because they've never been given a fair chance to prove themselves.
Yeah, so that's true. We're not seeing enough of them to say what they are.
Yep. And I think that's as best as we're going to get.
I'll just put it in black. Anthony Martial. When the transfer first happened, my thought was, what were we thinking? 36 million quid on an unproven kid.
I think he is still a bit disappointing. I don't think he's a major flop because he's won trophies with the club. He's scored big goals for the club, but his injury record and his record of going missing is bad. But he does have a good scoring record, so it kind of balances it out. So yeah.
Damn it! I knew I'd missed someone on here. I'll come to it in a minute, but I just realised
that birthday ignorant bastard can go into major flop.
Who? Everybody.
Yep. That bastard can go straight away into major flop. He ignores me every year on our birthday, so. And he's a flop anyway. More injured than anything else, and he's one of the worst conditioned players I've ever seen. Mentally and physically. The next one's easy as fuck.
Great signing.
Yep. The next one I'm going to say as well, Mkhitaryan, solid. Yeah, it took Jose 6 months to sign him.
I would disagree. I put him in a bit disappointing.
Why?
Because we did see him for 3. He came in with all this expectation, with what he did in the Bundesliga. We know
why we didn't see him for 3 months. We know why we didn't see him for so long. Jose refused to play him. For some bizarre reason, he wouldn't play him. But yet, when he did play him, he was one of our better players.
He was one of our better players.
And then we chose to get rid of him when we didn't need to get rid of him.
He started the season after so well as well.
And we didn't need to get rid of him. I genuinely think he was solid.
Didn't see him again.
Yeah, I think that's purely down to some stupidity behind the scenes, which made no sense.
I'd put him in disappointing just because we didn't see him reach the heights.
Let's put him right in the middle then. Let's put him in overall okay then. Because I think we're split between the two. I don't think he was bad at all. I think disappointing is a bit harsh on him. But I thought he was solid most of the time when he got into the team.
Paul Pogba.
The next one's, this is divisive.
I'd put him in disappointing.
Everywhere is divisive.
I'd put him in disappointing because he didn't. Obviously, what we were getting with the expectation, everything. We thought he was going to be the guy to take us. Just all that expectation around him, the commerciality, the what we were getting as a footballer, he looked like it was like I've gone away, I've done my bit, now I'm coming home and I'm going to take you guys to where you need to get to. Granted, if the team was built better around him, we might have seen that. But, the best versions we've seen of him, maybe that first season and then 4-0 FC, the first few months, those couple of months when Ollie was interim, and then the second half of the 20/21 season when he played operating off the left-hand side.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, that's like maybe 2 years worth of football where he was really good.
Yeah.
He'd drop an 9 out of 10, and then he'd drop I remember Wembley against Spurs, he dropped a really good game.
Yeah.
But then when it was the final, I think it was anonymous almost. You just didn't see anything. I know he's playing against a Conte team of just who only won because they scored a penalty and just held back the rest of the game, but
I was doing Emery's team as well.
Just didn't see enough of him, and I just think that you'd put him in disappointing because he did do well, but there was a lot of I think some of the abuse he got, I don't know, maybe abuse is the wrong word, but I think some of it was
warranted.
Not to that extent. I think there's not much. Like his first season, he played in a double pivot with either Herrera or Fellaini.
Yeah.
Neither of those are holding midfielders.
Yeah.
And and credit to Pogba, he still actually looked quite good.
He did.
I don't think he's a flop.
No.
I think he was just very disappointing. So I'd put him in a bit disappointing.
I think that's fair.
He's one of the few players I watched in the last... He's one of the very few players I've ever watched, actually, that just make me just lost for words. When he does something, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, especially when I've watched him play for France as well. I know it's international football, but then when he does the stuff for United... He has a good game.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I'd put him in disappointing. Now,
same thing. I like this guy, but same thing.
Disappointing.
Yep. The next one, major flop. Less said, the more about him.
Okay,
worst striker I've ever seen. Worst big striker I've ever seen play for United.
Can we briefly discuss your most favourite player ever, though? Just briefly.
He's not on the list here, so he isn't.
I'm talking about Lukaku.
Right.
The way that I'm going to keep him in major flop, by the way. I'm not contesting.
I'm not going to entertain a change. The guy was crap.
No. He's not going to change. I'm in complete agreement. He's one of the very few players I've watched who, when he has a good game, he looks good. But when he has a bad game, it's one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. There is a failed comp on YouTube.
We genuinely should never have signed Tubby. I don't care. We should never have signed him. He was a fucking waste. My arse could have scored more goals than Lukaku.
There is a failed comp on YouTube that's like 5 or 6 minutes long of loads of bad touches and misses and stuff, which I know isn't fair, and it's got the Benny Hill theme on. But the fact is, it's the fact that all of those clips are from middle of August 2019 to middle of August 2018 to middle of October 2018. So in 2 months, so many bad things.
It's because he was genuinely crap.
I don't know who advised. No, because those first 10 games, he looked really good. When he was slim, when he was lean, but he was still a powerhouse, right? Now, Lukaku is a purple patch merchant because he went 2 months without a goal after that.
Yep.
But then he just got too big. I don't know who at the club advised him that you need to build muscle, because he didn't need to, because then he just ended up getting in his own way almost.
Yep. He was a walking beach ball.
He was. Especially that second season. He was huge. It was like the guy, it was like a guy, it was like he was wearing bed sheets for clothes.
And he blamed other people, but he didn't blame himself.
Of course he did. Of course he did. Listen, 27 goals in your first season is pretty good, or 28, whatever it was. But when you look behind the context of that, where most of those were in the first half of the season, or like 10 or so were in the first couple of months, then you don't score for a couple of months, then you score another 10 or so, and then constant.
Genuinely.
It's not good enough. Fair play, he went on to Inter and did well, but not good enough.
He's still striker. Crap. Still crap. The next one, solid. Genuinely, for 40 million, we got exactly what we wanted out of Matic. The problem is he was just far too old. That's as honest as it can get.
Is there an argument for overall okay, though?
No. Because if anything, we brought him to be a defensive midfielder, but then we expected him to go and do so much more because our team was generally so crap. We expect this guy to just jump up trees when that's not his position, that's not his expectation.
He had surgery after a year and seemed to just age like 5 years in that 1 year. Like after that first year, he just seemed to age. There was a time when Jose literally came out in press conference and said, he's our most important player. Like he's an island of personality. People need to look at him.
Correct.
And he had every right to say that. Matic was quality, but I just think that after that first year, there was a point where we didn't see him for 4 months under Solskjaer.
He just didn't play
like he was leaving.
Stupid mistake not to play a natural holding midfielder when he could have played a holding midfielder and a box-to-box player beside him. But no, like that's the stupidity of a manager.
I think you have to blame the club a bit as well, because they didn't sign an actual replacement. Like Solskjaer has come out since and said, I ask for Declan Rice every year. Having midfield choices between Matic and Rice would have been perfect, I think, because you've got an understudy who can play every game and learn with that United team. But then you've got Matic, who's experienced. He was one of the main 4 or 5 experienced players in that dressing room. And because he can't play every game, but to have him like that would have been perfect. So you have to blame the club a bit, but without the club, we wouldn't have this horrible list. Like the next one on the list is probably the worst flop on here.
I don't think he is, personally.
What makes you say that?
Well, for one, it cost nothing, but 2, he was already in decline.
But
he came into a team that didn't suit him, and he was immediately told to go into one system, and he saw it right from the off how bad we were. How ironic, the first thing he said when he came to my head is, I want to go back. Because he knew there was something genuinely wrong. Nobody says that straight away if they don't get a bad vibe immediately.
No, of course. I would disagree slightly, because I think that it's very easy to hit the panic button so soon.
I don't think he panicked though. I think the minute he came, he saw generally just how
He
bad they were.
started well.
Even though he was the best player in the Premier League, in my opinion, at the time. Even though he was on a decline, he was still the best player in the league, which is crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
though,
he saw a mile off. He saw how bad we were behind the scenes, and he's like, "Nah, I want to go. Pack this shit. It costs nothing. Get me out of here quick." We didn't.
But then it just got worse for him. Like that first full season.
We could have played him through the middle, like he's doing right now, and he would have been fine. He would have been fine. We really failed him.
It's crazy though, because when we signed him, he was washed, and a lot of us didn't realize it. I think a lot of us just thought that.
I was glad he came in, but I was still watching Arsenal at the time to keep an eye on him. I was watching his games back, and I'm seeing the explosiveness was going away. And that's because he kept playing so many games.
Every summer he was doing something. It was the World Cup, and then I think he had Copa America 2-3 years in a row.
He did. He never had a break, a genuine break to recover and rest. So he aged fast in football terms, but he was still doing well because Arsene Wenger's system benefited him. He came to Mourinho's team, and Mourinho expected him to defend. I'm like, yeah, Alexis Sanchez is one of the most explosive players in the Premier League history. He's one of the most hardest working players, but we let him down. But we didn't need to. He could have just been a focal point attacker, and we would have been completely fine. So I don't think he's a major flop. But I would say he is, for what we got for nothing, and the numbers he drafted, 80 goals at Arsenal, it is disappointing. He didn't cost anything, so I'm not going to put him as a major flop for that. You could say he's a flop. He's not a major flop. But by stats, he's got a right to be called that.
Right, now is when it starts getting even worse. Fred.
Overall, okay.
Fred was overall okay. I say worse only because of the fact that, from what I remember of that summer, that was the summer obviously we chased for a centre back. Obviously, that's not Fred's fault, but
less said on that one, the better, because it wasn't his fault. There was times where he really was utter shite, but there was times where he's actually just been
brilliant.
Yeah, so he's just general okay. Dallo, disappointing. Up until the last year, maybe, he's been disappointing. So he's got a lot of time to redeem himself. Wan-Bissaka, he's been overall okay, because there were times where he just didn't progress. The next one's a major flop. I don't like. That's not because I dislike Harry Maguire. I'm just basing on genuine facts. He's a major flop because we spent 80 million on this guy, and I'm sorry, but like, what we actually genuinely got in return from him? Now
we got a solid first couple of seasons, but even then they first 2 years it was decent, but even they had their own controversies. Like Maguire finished his first season shaky. Then he went to
breaking unwanted records. He was breaking unwanted records in that defence. Like, that's not healthy. If you're breaking all these unwanted records in our defence as our captain, I'm sorry, but you're a flop. Genuinely not good enough.
You put him in flop.
Yeah. I'll take the hate from Maguire fans.
When you look at it for face value, for £80 million, we were ripped off.
Massive.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. Great signing. Even though he has dipped off for a little bit, he was still mathematically one of our most important players when he does deliver. He just needs to cut out the stupidity in his game from his personal attitude. That has to go.
Should I put this one? What were they thinking?
Major flop, because he cost big money and he was high ranking in a Ballon d'Or at one point, and he's never delivered. Tellez.
Disappointing.
I like Tellez, but he's disappointing. Cavani was solid.
Well, because Cavani had a really good first season. Took him a while to get used to things, but when he did settle in, he was good. Like January, February onwards. But then that second season, it was almost like Ronaldo came in and then he wasn't playing. It was like, right, well, I'm sacking this off for the next year.
Okay then.
So, based on that,
Okay then.
where would you put him?
Overall, okay then.
Good song as well.
Of course it is. Major flop.
Jadon Sancho.
Fuck him. Major flop. He's went backwards. And I don't know if he'll ever get better.
He arguably brought it on himself.
Yeah. Varane's a great signing.
A great signing. Wow.
Yeah, he has been. Defensively, he's been great. I think this might shock people as well. Ronaldo was also a great signing. Because it's not that the team went backwards. He was still delivering. They weren't just turning up. He was actually.
I think Ronaldo's problem in the
games.
second season, apart from the fact he was like he didn't have
The team
a
didn't match.
preseason.
The team didn't match him.
I think
Next
he
one,
was
I'll be
wrong,
honest.
obviously.
Yeah. Eriksen, I'm gonna say overall okay. To be honest, Malacia will go into the same category as Diallo and Palestri. To be honest,
Unable
we
to
haven't seen
discuss,
him.
yeah.
We haven't seen him since. There's nothing we can say about him. Martinez. I love Martinez. Normally, I would say great signing, but I'm actually tempted to put him in solid player.
I'd put him in solid player. I would put him in solid player. I think he's at the moment all he's had is one very good debut season,
and the
and not
injury
much
just
else.
curtained it. The injury just cut him off. We haven't seen him since.
I'm still worried about Varane being a great signing. If this was at the start of the season, only because
I think he has been though. Like he has been purely because he's gave that defense.
I don't
that
disagree with
leadership.
you. I don't disagree with you. I would have said it at the start of the. I would have hesitated at the start of the season because we all worry about his injury record. For example, I was worried we'd see a scenario this year where he'd be injured all season. Like he would be quite injury prone.
Potentially, but
as it stands,
when he has,
the Varane point here with great signing could change in a couple of years.
The reason why he's a great signing is because even from day one, and I prefer Martinez to Varane. From day one, Varane has proven why he's that Rolls Royce defender. He commands that type of class, that type of respect. Martinez will beat it out of you.
He's the kind of centre back I think that makes players around him a little bit better.
That's why he's in great signing. Same with the next guy. Even though he's been a little bit, even though he's a little bit inconsistent at the moment with the red cards he gets and all those crap, he's still great for the midfield because he exploited the fact that we really did need one, even though we already knew it. The next one, I love the guy from a playing perspective, not as a person, but he's a flop.
Has to be £100 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Weghorst.
What were they thinking? Sabitzer. He didn't do anything wrong. I think he was actually okay.
He didn't do much, but
when he played, he actually worked.
He was alright, yeah.
Mason Mount.
Base it on so far.
Overall, I think originally he was injured, like injury problems and all that. Like before that, he was shit. Up until his recent injury, he was actually playing okay. So I actually think okay.
Yeah.
Onana's now a solid player. He looks comfortable. Højlund, Champions League, solid. Premier League, crap. In the middle.
Overall, okay.
Yep. Johnny Evans, legend of the game, and I've got great respect. What were they thinking?
It has to be, yeah.
Awful decision. Reguilon, 2 years too late, but hasn't played badly.
Reguilon's a weird one because I think based on the transfer itself, you'd have to say what were they thinking, but based on his performances,
he's been okay.
I think it's concerning that an emergency loan left back signing is one of our better players this season.
Yeah, so overall okay. Bayender is going in the best category for him right now. Black.
Unable to discuss.
Yeah, because we can't. Because the best game he's played all season was for Turkey. Because he doesn't get a chance. And Amrabat, Ten Hag sort of ruined him by playing him immediately at left back. But he's been okay. He's just not been great.
There has been discussion that they're maybe not looking to make his move permanent.
I think based on the fact that there's evidence to it, and I think we can see why he hasn't particularly been great. But he keeps being asked to play in a style that isn't going to take him anywhere. Like, we aren't playing the way he played in Fiorentina, but necessarily even for Morocco, where they play more organised attacking football in a counter sense, we aren't even playing to that either. So
we've almost thrown him in a little bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because we're in that chasm right now where we don't know how we're going to play, almost. So it's almost like we don't almost know what to expect from Amrabat because we don't know what he's going to do, because we don't know what the team is going to do.
Yeah. But he's never once played extremely crap. He's just been okay. Like, he's actually just felt enough being okay.
Yeah.
So that's where I put.
Should we put overall okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't put him in a bit disappointing, because I think that whilst a lot of the Twitter fan base overhyped him a little bit because of that one Morocco clip, and also it was someone who looked good as a holding midfielder on paper. The expectation wasn't as high as what maybe some people were claiming in that regard. I think we knew we were getting maybe a decent player who could maybe have an impact with the squad. But the way injuries have been and stuff, I think it's just he's almost been thrown in. So him not getting this permanent move could make him a victim of almost United's downfall this season, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yep, I do. I think that's fair.
But yeah, that's our tier list.
Yeah, and I think with that, we can potentially wrap up tonight's show. Yeah,
that's the World of Football podcast post Ferguson signings tier list. I've been your host tonight, Julio. Reece, where can everyone find you?
Right there.
He is Mr. Weekly Steel Chair after all.
And here on Mondays, and now and again Devil's Advocate, but this is here in the Weekly Steel Chair, my main home.
Well, from us at the World of Football podcast, we wish you all a good evening, and we look to see you again soon. So take care, everyone, and till next time.
Live on YouTube and listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.